Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Friday, December the 20th, 2024. This year is almost gone. Almost gone. 11 days and we'll be in 2025. Let's talk a little bit about not a whole lot happened today, but the folks getting together for Christmas. Um, Christina stopped by Alexis's house to give her a gift, and Alexis gave her hers. She stayed outside, and Alexis came home. She goes, "What, you did you forget your key?" She says, "No, I didn't want to run into Molly." And so, but Molly wasn't there. Or they didn't show her. And so I think Molly wasn't there. So anyway, Alexis, they come in and she's talking, and Alexis is like, I sure hate the fact that you girls can't, you know, come together and understand each of you is suffering. And Christina says, "I'm not there yet." See, and my whole thing is, what was one of the things, see, and I'm not even wearing my black shirt. What was one of the things that Molly told Alexis? Don't try to get me and Christina together. But me to live here, don't do it. Even though Alexis didn't know Christina was coming. So, that's different because she did tell Molly, Christina is still my daughter, right? So she asked her, she goes, "You want to take your coat off?" She goes, "No, I just want to give you my gift because I'm spending Christmas Eve with my dad." Well, look, with your dad at Carly's, which I think is the first time in forever, if ever. Well, I won't say if ever, but that Christina was there. She and Jocelyn, well, that whole baby incident with Jocelyn having to save her, that kind of softened their relationship. You know, Jocelyn has sympathy for Christina. Christina had sympathy for her. She says she was sorry to hear about Dex, and so, they both expressed how, they live in one day at a time. And then Avery came downstairs to take them both upstairs, and they put sparklies and little decals on Christina and Jocelyn's face. But before she went upstairs, Carly forgot that a charity donation was not picked up from Bobby's. So I guess the Metro courts and running itself. So she says, "Oh my God, the catering, I mean the donation, it didn't go to charity. I'll be right back." So she runs out the house, leaving Sonny and Jocelyn alone. So Jocelyn says, "Well, I guess it's just us." And she told Sonny, he says, "Well, I wanted to tell you I'm sorry to hear about Dex." And, you know, she said, "Dex taught me a lot, that things are not just black and white, and people are not all good or all bad." And so she says, I think she said, "Just can we just have peace or call it true?" Something she said, you know. And he said, "Of course." He said, "I really wished that I had been able to apologize to Dex, for the way that I treated him, but you know." So anyway, they hugged. That's Sonny and Jocelyn hugging, believe it or not. It kind of reminds you of Sonny and Carly, right? That's Sonny and Jocelyn hugging. So while Carly is out, she's just Brennan ran into Anna at Royce Plaza. She was picking up some gifts. She was headed over to Maxie's, where Mac and Felicia was. Sasha was on her way over there. And Sasha and Michael ran into each other in the kitchen. And, she said she was going to the Scorpios, and he said he was going over to his mother's house to spend dinner, over there. Christmas Eve, he goes, he really misses Wiley and Amelia, on Christmas Eve. And he says, "But we're going to have breakfast at the Metro Court." And I thought, why is that a good breakfast? Right? I would bring them back to the house, where they're comfortable. Unless, I guess, maybe it's special going to eat out at Grandma's restaurant? I don't know. But it seems to me for Christmas Day, that's impersonal. It needs to be more on a family level or a home level where the kids can open up their presents, their gifts, you know, the whole 9 yards. I didn't agree with their getting to have breakfast out in public with Michael, but yet they're going to come back and be able to spend the whole day with their mother. I didn't agree with that at all. No. Here she has them Christmas Eve. They just living it up. But Michael gets a restaurant. But he's not knowing what's here or there just so he want to punish Drew. you know, and he's just letting it happen. So whatever. If he don't care, I don't care. Um, so Nina walks in the door, and Drew's just sitting at the table like he owned it. At one of the tables in the living room, or maybe at a chair, a taller chair. And Nina looks at him and she goes, "Where is Willow?" And he goes, "Oh, Willow took Scout back to Amelia and Wiley." And so Nina went over to him. She said, "I can't believe you have the nerve to bring yourself over here. I can't believe it. The gall." And he says something, he is acting as if, look, he don't even know Nina. Like he ain't never even slept with her. It's just so impersonal. And he's like, "Willow invited me. And yes, I'm here." And she said, "You could have at least had the decency." He goes, "Need I remind you that you have this relationship with your daughter because of me?" And Nina just looked up at him. And I thought, is that some kind of blackmailish leverage? Because guess what? It's not. Because, see, at this point, really, Drew? So if we throw all our cards on the table, and I wanted a relationship with my daughter, Willow knows that. And I'll say, you offered to help me with that. And I accepted. But guess what, Drew? The strings were I had to sleep with you. And I did. Because that's how much of a relationship I wanted with you, Willow. I am ashamed to say that I gave in to Drew's demands. But never in a million years did I think he was now going to set his sights on you. Oh, spin it. It can easily be spent that Drew is in the wrong, which he is. Even though, I mean, him and Nina was definitely consensual. And him and Willow was consensual too, but he's like holding it over Nina's head. And there's no way I would let anybody have that kind of leverage. No way whatsoever. Because what he stands to lose is actually more than what Nina stands to lose, because Willow could be upset at Nina, but that's still her mother. And at the end of the day, still gonna be her mother. Drew was just a wolf. Ugh, right? So Willow comes out the back and she goes, "Well, what's going on?" And Nina stops talking because she was talking about her and Drew sleeping together, right? And Willow says something, and Nina says, "You know what? I'm gonna go check on the kids." And Willow looks at Drew. She goes, "Would you like a drink?" Right? So Drew says, "I would love one." Nina gets her phone and she calls somebody. Says, "I need you right now. I need you over here." I knew it was Ava. She was calling. Well, Ava and Rick had a restaurant. I mean, a reservation at an expensive restaurant. I think is the one they couldn't afford the other day. The one that they ran up the tab on, right? And they canceled the reservation, and came over there. So they walk in the door, and Nina says, "Oh," Willow says, "Oh, we've got extra guests." And Nina says, "Yes, I invited Ava and, you know, Mr. Lansing." So Rick comes in, and he says, "Make yourself a drink," or Ava makes him a drink, whatever. Rick gets a drink, and Rick comes says in front of everybody something to the effect of, "Drew, I'm surprised you're here this casual with what happened today." Something to that effect. And Drew looks at Rick, and Nina says, "What happened today?" And Ava's like, "What happened?" None of them knew. Willow didn't know, Nina. And he goes, "Oh, Drew's ousted out of Aurora. Michael's in charge now." It out. And Drew looked at him. Eric takes a sip of his drink, like, "Nah, we weasel out of that." So Nina says, "Wait, is this true, Drew?" "Yes, Michael and Curtis were in leagues with each other to oust me from Aurora." And blah, 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 whatever. He spent it. He goes, but they framed it that there was a clerical error. And Michael went in and bought up the exposed stock so that no outside investor could come in, scoop them up, and do a hostile takeover. That's how Michael framed it. And I thought, oh, good. See, now I do see how what they could say to the SEC, because that made sense. He saw the stock was diving. They were scrambling to fix the clerical error. He buys up the stock so that no outside entity could. And now Aurora be in foreign hands, right? Oh, okay. That makes sense. Now, are you going to transfer the stock back to the way they were? Oh, heck no, 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 no. No, 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 I'm keeping these stock because I had to spend my money to save Aurora. No, no, no. Anyway, that's funny. So Willow says, "True, I just feel so bad. I feel so." Nina says, "Wait a minute. If Michael, how is Michael gonna run Aurora and ELQ?" And I'm thinking, no, because Michael doesn't run ELQ. Michael has been with Aurora now for a long time, right? He only did ELQ when Ned had amnesia in Aurora. So Drew says, that's because Michael named Curtis CEO of Aurora. And Nina goes, "Oh, Curtis. Oh." I mean, she couldn't hold in her joy, right? And Ava looked at her and says, "Nina, didn't you say you had to check out some food? Come on." Because Nina is so upset at Drew. At first, she wanted to drink, and Ava says, "Don't drink. If you drink," she goes, "because just the way you're even glaring at Drew, it's evident, Nina. And if you drink, I guarantee you're going to let Drew have it. So you cannot drink tonight." So Nina showed her glee because, look, she didn't like the fact, remember everybody? She didn't like the fact that Drew was going to stab Curtis in the back, and then had the nerve to say, "That's where you come in, Nina. You'll smooth things out with Curtis." Oh, am I? Will I? I don't think I will, right? So and then he turned away. He goes, "No." She goes, "I just feel so bad. Michael did this because of what we did. It's to the point I really don't think I knew Michael at all." And Willow even said something else negative towards Michael. And I thought, actually, I was cursing everybody. I was calling Willow some names. Every time she says something against my, I call, because I thought, how dare you, you adulterous cheater, have the nerve now to look down upon and look bad on your husband. Okay. And yeah, I know there'll be comments in comment corner, but Michael, she don't know yet. See, all she does know right now, and everybody else, is she's the one that cheated on her husband. And the thing is, everybody had been seeing them together for months before. Huddled up talking, her batting her eyes at him. Willow has no shame, none. Oh, how could Michael do something like that? Oh my, how could he do something? I just shook my head and said, girl, this man needs to take you to the cleaners, like he took Drew to the cleaners. So Sonny gets to Carly's. Oh, by the way, Marshall's home. He flew in, for Christmas, and then he's gonna fly back out for the holiday, to go back on tour. So it's nice to see him. Nice to have the Ashford family together. That was really, really nice. So before Jocelyn comes downstairs, and when Carly was there, before she left, um, Sonny said, hey, what time is Michael and his family getting here? She says, Willow and the kids won't be here. And he said, why? Because Michael we all just found out Willow has been cheating on Michael with Drew. And Sonny looked at her like, wait, what? And she says, and before you tell me, because Sonny never liked Drew, what a sleaze Drew is, no, I know. you know, she goes, so Michael, Willow, Michael let Willow take his kids. So he's alone tonight. I think he's having breakfast with them tomorrow. Right. So anyway, then Carly leaves, and then Michael does show up. And Sonny says, your mother told me what happened between you and Willow. And Michael said, yeah, I didn't see it coming. And he said, and she also told me that you let Willow keep the kids. And Michael said, yeah. And Sonny said, you know what? You're a better father than I am. Because I took you and Morgan from your mother to punish Carly and to hurt Carly. And I know that hurt you too. He says, so I'm happy you putting your kids first, Michael. And he shook his head like, yeah, I'm going to. So Sonny said, so what you gonna do about Drew? And Michael says, you haven't heard? I took his company from him. Look at him. He said, yeah, I took Aurora. And Sonny, he had his glass in his hand, and Michael had a glass. He goes, now that's my boy. He goes, now that's my boy right there. And Michael says, I'm going to make Drew pay for breaking up my family. See, Michael didn't say that now we even know. He's like, that's step one. Good. Let it be step one. So anyway, let's see. What am I missing? Alexis. I think I got it all. Everybody, I got it all. I talked about pretty much. Oh. So when Carly was walking out of Bobby's, she runs into Jack Brennan, who, of course, he actually was there looking for Carly. Why would she be there Christmas Eve? But guess what? She was there because she forgot something. She says, well, I'm sorry, Jack. It's the smile she had on her face and the grin he had on his face when he can she is his weakness. And she knows it. Cardi knows how to work you, right? And she says, Jack, what are you doing here? He goes, whoa, I guess something like the heavens aligned or something, you know, fate brought them together. And she says, no, I forgot to have this charity. This charity didn't get picked up. So I'm dropping it off at the shelter because people need this. This is the last batch. My car's full. So she goes, and he goes, well, I was just by, just out. And she says, uh-huh. Yeah, no place to go. And so she goes, but look, the grill is off. I can't cook you anything. My car is full of donations that I could make you like a care basket, you know? And he looked at her, he goes, room service would definitely suffice. Like, I could order myself the best steak the Metro Court has to offer, the best champagne, the Metro, no, I can live it up back at your hotel, Carly. I don't need a cold sandwich, but thanks for the offer. So Carly just, and then he goes, I'm surprised that, we're cordial. And she goes, well, you did lie to me about not being able to get in touch with Valentine. And he goes, and you did bug my office and then twist my arm to call Valentine in front of Lulu. So she goes, yeah, but he didn't pick up. So and she goes, yeah, we're even. See, look, we swiping that bug up under the rug. Hey, you can't be mad at me. So anyway, Carly comes back in. She goes, I'm back to her house. And she goes, and I bought a guest for dinner. And Jack Brennan comes walking into the room and he walks directly over to Sonny. He goes, Mr. Corinthos, I'm Jack Brennan. And he puts his hand out to shake Sonny's hand. And Sonny just looking at his hand. We shall see if Sonny shakes it. I doubt he will because Sonny's not going to pretend. He knows Jack is head of WSB in Port Charles. And so, but we'll see. It's Christmas, Sonny. Shake the man's hand because Christina's just looking at him like, what's Dad gonna do? And Carly, when she saw that he was leaving Jack hanging, Carly kind of raised her eyebrow to Sonny, like, don't start nothing. Look, you in my house. Don't start none, won't be none. So that's gonna be funny. That's gonna be funny because Carly always, when she does hook up with the man, it's always somebody that is an adversary of Sonny's or can be adversarial to Sonny. Always. It just never fails. But I do like Jack Brennan. So that's it, everybody. Cody ended up going over to Maxie's house. If he wasn't gonna go, even Sasha tried to convince him to go. And little James was all bummed out because he loves him some Cody. But in the end, the door, it was a knock on the door, and James opens it, and it's Cody, and boy, his face just lit up. And Mac was happy because look, this was gonna be the first Christmas with his son there. So that all worked out. That little family got together too. So that's it, everybody. Let me go to comment corner. Comment corner. I'm going to start from the top to the bottom. Jacarly said, didn't Willow say the day before when talking to Drew that the kids were going to be with Michael on Christmas? Yes, she did. So Drew was not going to let Scout spend Christmas with Danny and Rocco. Yeah, that's the way that went. But he cares so much for her mother. I mean, cares so much that her mother died. LOL. I wish Scout wasn't Drew's daughter. See, that's what was interesting to me, is the kids were supposed to stay together. But you're not going to even let your daughter be with her brothers, one brother and adopted brother, on Christmas. Drew. And Willow did say Michael was going to be with the kids on Christmas. Now it's reduced to a breakfast at a hotel on Christmas. Yeah, okay. So Jacarly says, I knew that Nina was going to be all up in Willow's ear against Michael, and she sure is. She just wants to keep Willow and the kids all to herself. Um, and not let Carly see him. See, Nina always has ulterior motives. Jacarly says, yes, I agree. The situation with Willow and Chase is different from Michael and Willow. Chase knew that Willow was in love with Michael, and Chase was the one who played on her. Yep, didn't even let her know he could walk. And then pretended to still not be able to walk just to keep her. So it's different. Jacarly also says they all knew that Drew was going to go running to Willow about what he thinks Michael and Curtis did. I can't wait for someone to let it slip that Michael and Carly to hear. It will be from Maxie or Ava talking to Nina that Drew also has been sleeping with Nina. Now, did Nina ever tell Sasha in any of her heart to hearts with Sasha that she slept with Drew? I can't remember. That's interesting. Jacarly, you gave some great, great comments, but now I'm going to skip on down to someone else. Brenda says, that's SL, that's S/L. You mentioned had never been solved about Sasha being locked in that room, supposedly by Esme. Another good SL bites the dust. Storyline. Why don't you say storyline, Brenda? And Catherine says Curtis wasn't smart showing all his cards. No, he wasn't. He had to get confirmation that Michael had got the shares, or he hadn't got confirmation. Plus, he and Michael should have discussed how it would get out. Drew can still intervene. I did like the storyline, Curtis being able to dismantle Drew's lies. Yes, Curtis did get confirmation. Michael sent Curtis a text message while Drew was standing up. Curtis looked at his phone. Michael said, send the press release. What that meant is I got the shares. Now make the announcement out there that you are the CEO. Curtis did get confirmation. But to me, he still told Drew too much. Catherine says Jordan was at the high risk with her kidney. I know. She getting all dehydrated there. DB says it was nice seeing Cam going away to college matured him. We can all agree that Gio is Brooklyn and Dante's long lost son. I love how Tracy used the opportunity to learn from her mistakes whenever she gets called out on her bad behavior, but don't let her be right. Christmas at Nina's will seem like a dawn of day moment. Couple kids, the mothers, the daughters, and their shared lovers back to Willow's roots. This is what she knows. Drew is unhinged. Marta says to DB, yes. Chase and Michael were talking about Willow being brought up in a cult. Nina's acting like Harmony yesterday. Drew's character is just awful. I'm willing to bet Carly finds out that Drew and Nina were hitting the sheets and the floors. Let me see, she'll be the one to blow up Willow's whole world. Enter Sasha, who will be having Michael's baby. Let's see who will be having Michael's. I lost my place here on comments, honey. Everybody, uh, who's having Michael's baby. Did we find it strange that Jason was hanging out in the kitchen with her? No, he was bringing his plate in. We Are we looking at Sasha/Jason pairing? I don't know. he finds out Sasha's pregnant with Michael's baby in order to fight Willow in court. Michael can't be guilty of infidelity. Jason may say the baby's his to protect Michael. Oh, Jason would do that too. Have we seen this story yesterday? It was a chemistry test of Jason and Sasha. Could be, they could be chem testing, but Jason would do anything for Michael. So I could see to protect Michael, but only during that custody part, you know. Uh, hey, anyway, Chris Christara says, this reminds me of Jason claiming Mike to be Michael's dad. And later on, when Sonny impregnated Sam, Jason claimed paternity again. Nope. Jason never claimed Sam's baby was his. Everybody knew it was Sonny's, but Sonny got back with Carly, so Sam was left in the cold. Jason was uh or Sonny ordered Jason to look after Sam, but then Jason and Sam fell for each other. Brenda says to Marla, it's almost like Jason and Sam being pregnant with Sonny's child. And loyal as Jason is, I didn't remember him pretending to be his baby, but maybe I'm wrong, y'all. I don't remember Jason. I know he took care of that baby like it was hers. It was his. Um, and we know how that ended. Sam lost Sonny slash Jason's baby. Hmm. Another reason why I'm saying no, people knew that that baby was Sonny's, because that's why Alexis knew the best chance for Christina to live was to get the stem cells from Sam's baby's umbilical cord because of that familial match. That would be, they were both Sam's baby and Alexis's daughter were half sisters. Sonny was both of their dads. So it looks like loyal Jason can play daddy to Michael and Sasha's baby. Aisha says it's time for Willow to start thinking for herself for a change. Michael, who let her leave with the kids without making a fuss, isn't a father who would cut his children out of his mother's lives. And Willow knows that. Why she would then let somebody say, oh, but no, now that he's upset, he still let her take the kids. So no, all of this BS people are putting in her ear, she wants to lap up. Because she wants an excuse to be with Drew. She just like we saw today. I just can't. I just don't think I knew Michael at all. Let's see. So my asthma's acting up. Also, she needs to pay closer attention to what Nina's reasoning behind her words and actions truly are. When Nina inevitably suggests suing for full custody, Hope Willow's paying attention. She needs to think back to how ugly it got. Um, and how ugly Nina made it when she took Willow and Michael to court to access Wiley. I know. Think back to what Wiley may have told her about his parents' custody battles over him and Morgan. That would be Willow will do that. I mean, she's gonna just let things escalate. Michelle says if she was thinking or had her own darn brain, which we all can see she doesn't, she would have figured it out that Nina is only doing this for Nina. I know. Or that she's so-called hero praising Drew has been grooming her butt right out of the marriage of Michael. Could have called Diane and got full custody, but he didn't. He even allowed her to get his kids. It broke my heart when Michael told Carly that he did it. He didn't want his kids to end up like him and Morgan. I believe the only thing uh, that is going to right, that was going to right this wrong is for the truth to come out about Nina and Drew. And hopefully Willow will come to her darn senses and realize Michael was never her enemy. Like Drew and Nina are literally trying to make him out to be. And you know what? Oh, we're at 10 minutes, everybody. So that's it for Comic Corner. If it takes an event to make Willow realize that, shame on her. Shame on her. She's been with Michael for too long not to already know that. All right, everybody. I'll be back on Monday with another daily recap of General Hospital.